Giant by Oscar Wilde. Every afternoon, as they were coming from school, the children used to go and play in the Jane's garden. It was a very large, lovely garden with soft green grass and a beautiful flowers like stars. There were 12 peach trees that in the springtime broke out in a delicate blossoms of pink and pearl, and in the autumn grew rich fruit. The birds sat on the trees and sang so sweetly that the children used to stop their games and listen to them. "Oh, happy we are here!" they cried to each other. One day the Giant came back. He had been to visit his friend, the Cornish ogre, and he stayed with him for 7 years. When he arrived, he saw the children playing in the garden. "What are you doing here?" he cried in a very gruff voice, and the children ran away. "My own garden is my own garden," said the Giant. "Anyone can understand that, and I will not allow nobody to play in it by himself." So he built a huge wall around it and put a notice board: "Trespassers will be removed." He was a very selfish giant. The poor children had now nowhere to play. They tried to play on the road, but the road was dangerous, dusty, and they did not like it. They used to wander around the huge wall when their lessons were over and talk about the beautiful garden inside. "How happy we are there," they used to say to each other. Then the spring came, and all over the countryside there were little blossoms and little birds. Only in the garden of the selfish giant it was still winter. The birds did not care to sing in it, as there were no children, and the trees forgot to blossom. Once a beautiful flower puts his head out of from the glass, but went back when he saw his notice board. It was so sorry for the children that it has slipped back and ground coming in. But the spring never came for nor the summer. The autumn gave golden fruit to every garden, but in the Jane's garden she gave none. "He is too selfish," she said, "so it is always winter there, and north wind, and the hail, and the frost, and the snow dance through the trees." One morning, the giant was lying awake in bed when he heard some lovely music. It sounded so sweet to his ears that he thought to be king musicians passes by. It was really one little linnet singing outside his window, but it was so long since he had heard a bird sing in his garden that it seemed to him the most beautiful music in his world. Then the hail stopped dancing over his head, and the north wind ceased roaring, and the delicious perfume came to him to open his window. "I believe the spring has come at last," said the giant, and he jumped out of the bed and looked out. What did he see? He saw a most wonderful sight. Through a little hole in the wall, the children had crept in, and they were sitting in the branches of trees. In every tree, they could see each there was a little child, and the trees were so glad to have the children back again, and they had covered themselves with blossoms and waving their arms gently above, and the children's and the birds were flying about and twittering with delight, and the flowers were looking up through the green grass laughing. It was a lonely scene. Only in corner it was still winter. It was the farthest corner of the garden, and in it standing a little boy. He was so small that he could not reach up to the branches of the tree, and he was wandering round it crying bitterly. "Climb up, little boy," said the tree, and it branches the branches down as low as could be. But the boy was too tiny. The giant heart melted as he looked out. "How selfish I has been! Now I know why the spring wouldn't come. I will put the little boy on the top of the tree, then I will knock down the wall, and the garden be the children's playground ever." So he crept downstairs and opened the door quite softly and went into the garden. But when the children saw him, they were frightened. Only the little boy did not run, for his eyes were full of tears and he did not see the James coming. And the tree broke out in the blossom, and the birds came on song at it. When the giant lifted the little boy on the tree stretched out his arms and flung them around Jane's neck and kissed him. "It's your garden now," said the giant, and he knocked out the great wall who has been built by him. And the giant flying with the children is the most beautiful garden that he has never seen. At last, the giant was sent to heaven. Thank you.